most critical failures a pilot can encounter is an engine failure at takeoff, commonly referred to as Efato. According to the NTSB, around 50% of accidents happen during the takeoff and landing phases. The segments of flight are characterized by low speeds, low altitudes and high workloads, leaving little room for error and minimal time for corrective actions. Pilots prepare for such scenarios rigorously through recurrent simulator training, and Efatos are among the most practiced emergency procedures in commercial aviation. Today, we break down what Efato entails, how pilots prepare and respond, and finally simulate a full Efato scenario in the A320. So why are Efatos considered so critical? There are many factors which make Efatos a serious failure. Generally, Efatos are classified as engine failures after or at their decision speed V1, after which the takeoff has to be continued and must not be rejected anymore due to the risk of overrunning the runway. Losing an engine at this point comes with a major reduction in thrust on one side of the airplane. This not only results in a reduced climb performance, but also in a yawing and subsequent rolling moment. To take off safely, pilots must counteract with precise rudder and pitch control. This deflection of control surfaces unfortunately slightly increases the overall drag of the aircraft, further limiting the available performance and maneuverability. One must also take into account that engine failures usually are results of primary events like engine fires or bird strikes, further increasing the complexity, stress and workload for the pilots. Due to the high risk this failure imposes, many guidelines and regulations have been formed over the years to assure safe operation and handling in such cases. Before we dive into the procedures pilots follow during an Efato, we first have to take a look at the takeoff performance calculations. In today's aviation, every takeoff requires a mandatory takeoff performance calculation. This calculation determines the correct speeds for takeoff, thrust value and configuration of the aircraft, and is therefore performed by each pilot individually on the electronic flight bag and cross-checked before entered into the flight computer. Many parameters are taken into account by performance tools ranging from the required and available runway length and width, the local weather such as the air temperature and pressure, to safe maneuvering speeds and the predetermined clearances of structures and terrain in the departure path. For pilots, the most interesting parameters are the takeoff speeds V1, VR and V2, where V1 is the decision speed after which the takeoff must not be rejected. VR is the rotation speed, at which point the pilot starts to pull up the nose to initiate the liftoff, and V2, which is the safe single-engine climb-out speed. This speed guarantees a positive rate of climb with one engine out and must not be undercut. In general, takeoffs can be rejected for any reason at or below 80 knots. Between 80 knots and V1, a takeoff should only be rejected in an event of serious failures, like for example an engine failure or onboard fire. Once V1 is reached, rejecting the takeoff is no longer an option, unless the aircraft is clearly uncontrollable or unfit to fly. This highlights the particularly challenging scenario of an engine failure occurring just after V1, where the aircraft is technically capable of flight, yet the failure is severe enough to require an immediate return or emergency landing. Now, how do pilots prepare themselves for such events and what procedures to apply? In a takeoff briefing, pilots always discuss the possible event of an engine failure and the subsequent actions they decide to take, like flying a specialized engine out departure route and the most suitable approach back to the airport. These are airport dependent and must therefore always be briefed before the takeoff. The procedures applying for Efato are memory items, which means that the pilots must know them by heart and be able to perform them immediately. At the heart of the Efato procedure are the golden rules of flying, which are in this case: aviate, ensuring that the aircraft stays on the center line and when airborne within 15 degrees of the runway, keeping speed and pitch appropriate. Navigate, avoiding obstacles and terrain as required and following the engine out sit as soon as appropriate. And communicate, notifying ATC about your intentions briefing your crew about the problem and informing the passengers about the situation. Efatos don't leave us with much time to get things right. It is therefore essential to perform the initial actions correctly and immediately. The pilot flying is mainly concerned about aviating and should use the rudder to stay standard on the runway. At VR, rotate at 3 degrees per second up to initial pitch target of 12.5 degrees and then follow SAS guidance. Keep the speed at V2 or at the speed at liftoff, whichever is higher. Centering the beta target with the rudders and trimming out the rudders around 15 to 18 degrees. Raising the landing gear after a positive rate of climb and engaging the autopilot when appropriate, but not before 400 feet above ground level. Poor speed management, especially in engine out scenarios, can be very catastrophic and must be regarded with high priority. It is crucial to not fly below V2 speed or else risking negative climb performance. The beta target is a crucial indicator in an engine out scenario. When an engine failure is detected during takeoff or go around, the side slip target changes from yellow to blue and is referred to as the beta target. It is important to note that unlike the side slip indicator, which when centered minimizes the side slip, the beta target, when centered, minimizes the total aircraft drag. It achieves the best compromise between the drag produced by flight control deflections and the drag produced by the side slip. Therefore, a centered beta target will help the flight crew to achieve the best overall optimum aircraft climb performance. Below 400 feet above ground level, no ECAM actions, no checklists or flap and landing gear retractions should be performed, and all focus should be given to flying the airplane. After 400 feet, the engine outset or heading mode may be selected and the autopilot can be engaged. When suitable, the pilot flying announces ECAM actions, and the pilot monitoring starts to follow the ECAM actions provided. When the engine is secured, and at or above the engine out acceleration height, push vertical speed to level off and start the acceleration phase. The failed engine is secured when one of the following actions apply. The engine master switch is off if no damage. Agent 1 is discharged with damage. Agent 1 is discharged and an engine fire is extinguished, or Agent 1 and Agent 2 are discharged. To determine if an engine is damaged, one or multiple of the following criteria may be present: high engine vibrations, no N2 rotation, loud bangs associated with the engine failure, or missing or crossed out engine indicators on the upper ECAM. After we level off, flaps and slats should be retracted at the appropriated F and S speeds. When reaching green dot speed, a further climb is usually performed to a more suitable altitude. Thrust levers should be put in thrust MCT when prompted by the flight mode annunciator. When thrust levers are in MCT, move them to the climb detent and then back to thrust MCT. After all ECAM actions are completed, the pilot flying calls out Stop ECAM. An extended checklist, computer resets or OIBs should be executed as required. Afterwards, continue with ECAM status. There are some aspects in an Efato which impose risks and caveats which require more attention by the flight crew. These include that modern engines are unable to supply maximum thrust for an unlimited time. In our case, this limit is at 10 minutes of continuous toga or flex thrust and must not be exceeded, as risking damage to the engine, which is also the reason behind starting with chrono takeoff. It is further very important to highlight that the associated yawing and subsequent rolling moment caused by the asymmetric thrust must not be corrected with aileron input, but mainly with rudder input. Using ailerons to correct for this rolling moment will introduce spoiler deflection, reducing lift-off tipping drastically and potentially result in negative climb performance. There have been a handful of accidents in the past, where disregarding this fact was a contributing part in the accident. Additionally, some pilots intuitively tend to pitch up too quickly at rotation, or overpitch for 12.5 degrees target, which puts them into a low speed situation. This should be kept in mind to avoid getting into dangerous scenarios. With the procedure and its critical details fresh in mind, It's time to jump into the simulator and see how all it comes together in a practical scenario. Upland 1, wind 271 degrees 2 knots, runway 28, cleared for takeoff. Cleared for takeoff, runway 28, Upland 1.
Stable. Takeoff. Man flag 66 SRS runway auto thrust blue.
Thrust set. knots.
Check.
B1. Engine fire 1. Rotate. Positive climb.
Gear up.
Gear up.
Autopilot 1. Heading.
Check.
Read ECAM.
Engine 1 fire, with indications which confirm engine fire.
Okay, my radios. ECAM actions.
Engine 1 fire. Thrust lever 1, idle.
Confirm thrust lever 1.
Confirmed. Engine master 1, off. Confirm engine master 1.
Confirmed.
Engine 1, fire push button, push. Confirm engine 1, push button.
Confirmed.
Engine 1 after 8 seconds discharge. Engine 1 discharge. Engine secured.
Stop ECAM. Please notify ATC about our problem.
Pan pan,
Attention
pan pan,
crew at
pan pan.
stations.
Upland 1, engine fire. Maintaining runway heading until 25 miles, climbing 5,000 feet. Stand by for further intentions. Upland 1 acknowledged.
Okay, let's wait until we reach our engine out acceleration height of 2,600 feet. Vertical speed 0.
Check.
Flaps 1.
Speed check, flaps 1.
Please activate secondary.
Secondary activated. Going direct, NUX 28.
Flaps up.
Speed check, flaps up.
Open climb. Thrust MCT, open climb, auto thrust.
Check.
Continue ECAM.
Engine mode selector ignition. If no damage, we have damage, so disregard. Clear engine 1 fire.
Clear engine 1.
If no fuel leak, imbalance monitor. TGAS mode select TA. Avoid icing conditions. Clear engine 1.
Clear engine 1.
ECAM memo shows land A7 amber. Secondaries. Air bleed shows the associated failures with engine 1 failure. Clear bleed.
Clear.
ILIC page shows generator 1 inoperative. APU available.
Start APU.
Starting APU. Clear ILIC.
Clear.
Hydraulic page shows green engine 1 pump failure. PTU is working. Clear hydraulic.
Clear.
Status.
Stop ECAM. We cannot relight the engine due to damage. There are no OEBs, computer resets or extended checklists to perform, so continue with ECAM.
Avoid icing conditions. If severe ice accretion, we are not likely to end in icing conditions. Landing distance procedure apply. If no engine 1 damage, we have damage. INOP systems. Wing anti-ice. Cat 3 dual. Engine 1 bleed. Pack 1. Main galley. Generator 1. Green engine 1 pump. Remove status.
Remove.
Status removed. ECAM actions completed. Efatos are among the most critical scenarios a pilot can face, demanding precise flying, strict discipline, and calm decision making under pressure. As we've seen, preparation is key. Thorough performance planning, a solid understanding of procedures, and regular training in the simulator all contribute to managing such events safely. I hope this video gave you a clear insight into how pilots handle engine failures after takeoff in the A320, and how theory and practice go hand in hand in aviation.